What up, everybody? My name is Mike Fields, also known as Facts, and welcome to the first edition of Black Facts. Oh, yes. Today is February 1st, 2022, and I'm celebrating Black History Month in my own special way. I'm here at work. I'm in my office. This is my museum. Take a look around. Yes, all of these artifacts are part of my life, things that I love, things that I cherish. And one thing that I do cherish in my life is being Black and also my heritage. All right, so this is part of my lineage, part of my ancestry. It's coming straight from Aswan in Egypt. And shout out to my family out there. Shout out to my entire family and my friends. Let's get into it. So, Black History Month. I figured I'd go ahead and kick it off with celebrating and doing a little bit of research on the educational side for the person who started Black History Month. Because where did Black History Month start? How did it start? You know, who started it? I can Google it! And when I type in the Google search for Black History Month, the person that comes up is none other than Dr. Carter Godwin Woodson, also known as Carter G. Woodson. So let's go ahead and check it out. Now, I can Google it. All I'm doing is going to Google, doing a simple Google search. I recommend that everybody do their own research, not just for Black History Month, but every day. Do your own research, get your own information, all right? Get that knowledge. So I'm going to Google. This is my primary research tool for right now. So I'm going to type in Carter, C-A-R-T-E-R, space G, space Woodson, W-O-O-D-S-O-N. Hit enter on that joint. Now, a whole bunch of information pops up. So what I've done is just compile bits and pieces of the different publications, different sites. So we have Twitter on here. We have the Smithsonian, NAACP. Let's see, Wikipedia, of course. Let's see, Britannica, biography.com, nps.gov. There's a whole bunch of stuff. The Harvard Gazette, the Black Wall Street Times, the Washington Post. Yeah, a lot. History.com, woodsonmuseum.org. So there's a lot of information out there. So I'm just going to take bits and pieces. I took bits and pieces of it just to put together this short and sweet presentation. I am going to be reading, but hey, that's what I do. All right, so I'm just blessed that I'm glad I can read. Black Facts! Oh, yes. Here we go. Carter G. Woodson. Dr. Carter G. Woodson. All right? Dr. Carter Godwin Woodson was born December 19th, 1875 in New Canton, Virginia. Oh, yes. VA. 2 up, 2 down, baby. Let's go. All right. Now, he passed away April 3rd, 1950 in Washington, D.C. Let's see. So he's noted as being an American educator, historian, author, journalist, philanthropist, and he's considered the father of Black history. The father of Black history. How, might you say? Let's go ahead and take a look. Let's see. Dr. Carter G. Woodson was both a child and student of formerly enslaved people. He grew up working on his family farm. All right? His first teachers were his formerly enslaved uncles who taught him in a one-room schoolhouse in Buckingham County, Virginia. And I've been to Buckingham County, Virginia before. It's rural, great people. Where he is actually born is between Charlottesville, Virginia, and Richmond, Virginia. It's somewhere in the middle between there. But it's a lovely place. It's a lot of land out there, and again, it's very rural. All right. Let's see, but that's not all. There's a lot there. Go check it out for yourself. Research, baby. Empirical research. Let's go. All right. Let's see. He worked in the coal mines before he started high school at the age of 20 and worked alongside formerly enslaved men and Civil War veterans who were illiterate, men who relied on Woodson to read to them in the evenings. All right? by the way, he finished high school in 2 years. All right? He was determined. He's just gifted. All right? And he worked hard. Worked very hard. So, let's not get that twisted, all right? Let's see. It was in those experiences that Woodson came to learn that black people carried important knowledge from their lived experience that needed to be taken seriously and preserved. He was one of the first scholars to study the history of the African diaspora, or diaspora, however you want to say it. The African diaspora. I'm going to go with that one. The African diaspora. Go with that one. All right? Including African American history. Woodson believed that the white-dominated historical profession had little interest in black history. And what he's talking about is higher education, in literature, publications, just record keeping in general in terms of telling history, our history, world history. All right? It had very, very little interest in what the contributions of African Americans, black people in general were and are, and the people, ourselves, people themselves, black people, African Americans ourselves. Very little interest, and he wanted to do something about it. Okay? He was one of the first scholars to study the history of the African diaspora, including African American history. He saw African American contributions being overlooked, ignored, and even suppressed by the writers of history textbooks and the teachers who used them. For black scholars to study and preserve black history, Woodson realized he would have to create a separate institutional structure. In 1915 in Chicago, he was inspired by having attended the 3-week national celebration of the 50th anniversary of the Emancipation Proclamation. And with funding from several philanthropic foundations, Woodson joined 4 others in founding the Association for the Study of Negro Life and History, the ASNLH. All right? Now, when we say Negro, it's spelled Negro. Negro. It's a Spanish word. When translated to English, means black. And this is how it's said. Negro. Negro. All right? That's all for Google Translate. Research. All right? Every little bit of research helps and definitely counts. This was done to encourage scholars to engage in the intensive study of black past, the black past, African American past, the black history of our world, a subject that had long been sorely neglected by academia and in U.S. schools. The mission of the association was the scientific study of the neglected aspects of Negro life and history. In 1916, Woodson began editing the association's principal and scholarly publication, the Journal of Negro History, which is published to this day under the name the Journal of African American History. It still exists. Let's see. Woodson first opened the long neglected field of black studies to scholars and also popularized the field in the schools and colleges of black people. He dedicated his career to the field of African American history and lobbied extensively to establish Black History Month as a nationwide institution. He also wrote many historical works in literature, including the 1933 book, The Miseducation of the Negro, or Negro. In 1924, spurred on by Woodson, his college fraternity, Omega Psi Phi, shout out to my Greek brothers and sisters, okay. They introduced Negro History and Literature Week. So in 1924, he and his brothers of Omega Psi Phi, shout out, introduced Negro History and Literature Week. Okay, and we're talking about where Black History Month came from. Who started it, why, how, when, all that. So let's pay attention to the building blocks, all right? Because it wasn't just him, but he's in the forefront. Facts? Facts. Not just facts, but black facts! Oh, yes. Let's see. In 1926, Carter G. Woodson and the Association for the Study of Negro Life and History announced the second week of February to be Negro History Week. All right? Negro History Week. This is in 1926. He and the association established this. The second week of February. February. Now, why February? A lot of people ask. I ask, why February? Well, February is the birth month of two figures who loom large in the black past. U.S. President Abraham Lincoln, born February 12th, which is at the end of, the end of next week, so that's next Saturday. All right? And, of course, President Abraham Lincoln, he's credited with the issue of the Emancipation Proclamation. All right? That's Abraham Lincoln's, historically, it's one of his most notable contributions to the world, especially for black people, African Americans. That's what he's known for most in terms of black history. All right? Arguably, that's what he's known for most. The Emancipation Proclamation. So on one hand, it's Abraham Lincoln. On the other hand, we're celebrating, or Dr. Woodson sought to celebrate, the African-American abolitionist, author, and orator, the one and only Sir Frederick Douglass. And Frederick Douglass was born February 14th, which is also known as Valentine's Day. And my Uncle Eric's birthday. Oh, yes. By rooting Negro History Week in February, Woodson sought to both honor the inestimable, see, I didn't come up with that word. I copied that straight off of the internet. So, the inestimable legacy of Lincoln and Douglass, and to expand on an already existing celebration of the black past to include not only the accomplishments of these two great individuals, but also the history and achievements of black people in general. So this is why February is the month. You got President Abraham Lincoln, the great Frederick Douglass, and of course my Uncle Eric. Now, but seriously, Abraham Lincoln, Frederick Douglass, these are two people that are widely known to have contributed to the legacy and freedom and history and the widespread effect of black people, not just here in the United States of America, but around the world. Okay? Let's stay tuned. All right. So, as early as the 1940s, some communities had transformed February into Negro History Month. So, now we went from Negro History and Literature Week to Negro History Week to now we're talking about Negro History Month in the 1940s. All right? So, this started in 1924 with Negro History and Literature Week through Omega Psi-Phi and Dr. Woodson. Then in 1926, that went from Negro History and Literature Week to Negro History Week. All right? And then in the early 1940s, that transitioned in some communities all the way to Negro History Month. All right? With the ascendance of the American Civil Rights Movement and the rise of black consciousness in the 1960s, Negro History Week had become Black History Month in more and more places. So now we start to see Black History Month popping up. Black History Month popping up in the 1960s. We're talking about the rise of black consciousness, the Civil Rights Movement, all those things happening. And so we get this transition popping, and it just makes sense. All right? In 1976, here we go, the association that Woodson had founded, which was later renamed the Association for the Study of African American Life and History, it facilitated the widespread institutionalization of February as being Black History Month. There we go, 1976. And at that time, the president was Gerald Ford. So we got President Gerald Ford, and he urged Americans to participate in its observance. All subsequent presidents would do the same, sometimes referring to the event as National Afro-American Black History Month or National African American History Month. Okay? Woodson has been called the father of Black history for these reasons. All right? And more. Just from the little bit of research I've done on today, and then just reading about Carter G. Woodson, Dr. Carter G. Woodson in the past, his life and his legacy is beyond what's on paper. This brother is a world-renowned global phenomenon, from his birth and the circumstances surrounding his birth, to his education and the circumstances surrounding that, to his work life and the circumstances surrounding that, and his professional endeavors and his dreams and his hopes and his desire and his urge to make this world a better place for all people, especially Black people. He deserves to be celebrated. And Black History Month would not exist, especially to this degree. I don't think it would have, or at this time, I don't think it would exist without the life and legacy of the one Dr. Carter G. Woodson. And I'm thankful for that. And ladies and gentlemen, this concludes my broadcast, my first ever broadcast of Black Facts! 2022 Black History Month. Let's get it popping, y'all. Do your research, celebrate, not just because it's Black History Month, just to be alive, but definitely celebrate Black History Month, all right? This is Mike Fields, also known as Facts. And remember, Black history is world history. Not only that, it's universal history, all right? Know the facts, because it's all about the facts, baby. Lastly, these are two quotes from the great Dr. Carter G. Woodson. He says, when you control a man's thinking, you do not have to worry about his actions. When you control a man's thinking, you do not have to worry about his actions. Another quote, those who have no record of what their forebears have accomplished lose the inspiration which comes from the teaching of biography and history. I'll say that again. Those who have no record of what their forebears have accomplished lose the inspiration which comes from the teaching of biography and history. Ladies and gentlemen, it is so important for us to do our own research. Empirical research. It's very important to know the facts. That's why this program is called Black Facts. And I am your host, Mike Fields, also known as Facts. This has been an honor and a pleasure. I hope you guys learned something, because I did. And thank you so much. God bless. Facts!